Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Morning after the FA Cup final, time for a bit of 5 things that we learn. And as well as covering the FA Cup final, I'm going to talk a little bit more broadly about the whole season and how Ten Hag's gone on and some of the things that we've seen. So get your comments in, get your questions in, and we'll get stuck straight into it. So, number one, De Gea. I thought the second goal was pretty disappointing, and even though I don't think he really got peppered, he looked a little jittery all game, and it was one of those where there were so many times when United was starting from the back, we didn't seem like we knew what we were going to do before we did it. It kind of seemed a little bit reactionary, whether that was from we was going to play out. Or if that was that we were going to go direct from goal kick, and it looked like every time we did it, it was a little underwhelming. Whether we played out, it didn't really work. And if we went long, it didn't really work. We just lost the ball. I'd actually love to see the stats and see what we actually did in terms of playing out yesterday, or restarts from the goalkeeper, I guess is the better term for that. Because it didn't feel like we had any successful ones at all. Whether we went long or we went short, it was just really, really poor from there. And there's not enough command of the box. I'm not sitting here saying he was the reason we lost the FA Cup final, but he was disappointed in it. For someone with so much experience that you want to see, and actually, this goes across the board, to be honest. There's a lot of experience in that didn't really step up. Um, it'd be interesting to see what happens with his contract. I think they'll re-sign him and kick the decision down the road, because I think there's so much to sort out this summer. I'll be amazed if they're able to do all of the things that need sorting out this summer. Number two, depth and injuries. Playing against City with injuries was always going to be a tough ask. You had no Anthony, you had no Martinez, you had no Martial, and those three players genuinely would have made a difference because they would have all started, in my opinion. And it's shown when you're bringing on McTominay and Weghorst off the bench. Garnacho being a different story, but even Garnacho, this is an 18-year-old boy who this time last year was playing in the FA Youth Cup. Like, the expectation that he can come on and win the FA Cup isn't really fair on him against the billions of the evil empire. He's being asked a hell of a lot of, and he almost delivered. But when you've got the likes of your subs of Weghorst and McTominay, you're not really competing. You're just not. The bench was weak. It needs a massive amount of reinforcements in the summer. And the mismatch between the two sides in squad quality and game changers was so evident. The players that City could bring on was embarrassing, and probably all would have started for United. 115 charges. So we didn't beat the evil cheating empire that have cooked the books, that might have manufactured sponsors. Cheat better, lads. Honestly, you got so much money, cheat better. You could literally buy any bookie in the world, give them literal millions, billions, and tell them to legitimately sponsor Manchester City. Then you've got the diving cheating going on the pitch. City are an excellent footballing side, and there's so much to admire about the way they dominate and control football and the technical level that they do it at. But you then look at like the fucking state of some of the cheating that goes on with them. They literally don't need it. What was that dive all about from Jack Grealish to get Wan-Bissaka on the yellow card? You didn't need to do that. You genuinely didn't need to do that. And it hurts to lose against them, but it's just distasteful to see them doing what they're doing and cheating the way they're doing, because they don't need to do it. How do you compete with that level of corruption? And my worry is that the Premier League's only going to fine them, and you can't fine unlimitedly rich people. That just makes it legal for them to do whatever it is that they're going to do. I hope the Premier League have got a load of bollocks about them and actually do something that they should be doing, because my take on it is, here's the thing. Their defence to all of these charges isn't that they didn't do it. It's never been that they didn't do it. The Court of Arbitration for Sport one was that the statute of limitations ran out on how long they could go back and investigate them for. Wasn't that they didn't do it? It was like, you didn't do it quick enough. That's not the same as being innocent. And the same with the Premier League stuff. They're not saying, hey, we didn't do that shit. They're saying, hey, the guy investigating us is an Arsenal fan. Well, did you do it or did you not do it? Anyway, on a positive note, Garnacho. So we said we was over reliant on a child, but he's someone that's got impetus, has got endeavour. He has got all the confidence in the world, and he nearly made the difference. He was so close. He did change the game when he came on, and I think it was the right decision to have him on the bench. I think it amplified his skill set. You could make the case that maybe he could have come on at half-time, but at half-time, things was going kind of to plan, actually, after the first 13 seconds. We got back in the game, we calmed it down, and it looked like it became a little bit of a back-and-forth battle. Yes, they were totally dominant in possession, but it was never going to not be that. United needs to be having a little bit more emphasis on the counter-attacks. Garnacho has got world-class potential. That's not saying he's a world-class player right now, because I don't think he is. He's got to prove it consistently, week in, week out, over a number of seasons to be called world-class. But he has the potential to get there. Now, whether or not he realises that, that's entirely on him. But he seems to consistently make an impact off the bench, and I would think that that is what his aim should be next season, is to try and start every other game and be an impact off the bench every single opportunity he gets. The sky is the limit, and he's knocking on the door right now to start, if not already fully demanding that he starts with his performances. Players pick the team, and that's it. Players pick the team. If he consistently delivers, he will start over Sancho, over Anthony, and over Marcus, because the manager just wants to win. And the players who are going to help him do that the most, they're the ones who play. So, to summarise the whole season, it was top four, it was Carabao Cup, and it was going the distance in the FA Cup, which, coming second to City, Arsenal fans were telling me was a good thing. We came second in the Cup. No one expected that from us. Nobody. At all. Nobody expected anything like that from us. There has been strides and improvements made, but there is still a hell of a long way to go. The depth of the squad, not there. The away form, not there. You know, there's all sorts more that you would like to see United do. I thought Ten Hag had a decent showing yesterday, and I don't know how much of it is entirely on him and how much of it is on some of the players. I was saying to my lad in the game, after you've gone down so early like that, you need some older heads. You need some people to be like, okay, clean sheet's gone. Don't worry about it. We kick on from here. We play our game. We do the things right that we're here to do. And at 1-0, United weren't out of it. And we got back into it. And then we conceded early again at the start of the second half. And we nearly got back into it. There was a period where it was terrifying and they was marching through the centre of us. But we weren't a million miles away. Garnacho could have scored. Tommy and Rashford could have put one of those in at the end. Like, the opportunities were there. This isn't saying like, oh, if we could have hit the bar a couple of times. No, there was stuff there for us to have done. So no one expected that from us. No one expected us to go the distance like that. People were thinking 3-4, 5-0 in that game yesterday. And it was possible. But that's not the way the game played out. We all know where the weaknesses are, and we've done this on the back of having no striker. We've done this on the back of having the drama with Cristiano Ronaldo, no Anthony Martial for the entire season, Cavani left, Greenwood's not been available. All of those things. Manchester City are playing Erling Haaland up front, 52 goals to his name, and then on the bench they've got Alvarez, who's class. If we'd have just had Alvarez, let alone Erling Haaland, our season could have been different. If we'd have Anthony Martial yesterday, we might have won that game. The resources available to both clubs is astoundingly different. And I hope that's the last time we see the Glazers darken our door. But the more this rumbles on, the more I get the feeling like they just want to linger around like a bad fart, man. It just feels like they don't want to let go. It just feels like they feel like they can wring out even more from this football club. Really. Which is sickening. Tom Smith saying Benzema surely. Now, listen, I love Karim Benzema, but Manchester United in the last decade have signed Lukaku and then a load of 30 plus centre forwards. It's time for a different strategy. It's time to look at a different strategy. The last Brandon said United fans need to forgive Greenwood. The guy is too talented to let it go. Can't necessarily say United fans have to do anything, mate. And I think morals become before talent. 2 Cents says, Steve, what happens to Ten Hag if we get the Qatari group and buy all our targets and still come short of the league? There's no saying that they'd get rid of him. There's no saying that they would keep him. We don't know what we don't know. There's so much we don't know. Ethan says, our starting 11 yesterday only had 2 Ten Hag signings in it. What does that tell you? And Christian Eriksen, you know, I think he's been an excellent signing for us, but there's certain games that he isn't the one. And when you're going to be overloaded in midfield, either by energy or by a work rate, it ain't necessarily his game. His games when United are going to be on the front foot. His games are when you're going to have to unpick a lock. Christian Eriksen's one of the first names on a team sheet when you're playing a team that's just come up from the Championship. Christian Eriksen's going to be the first name on the team sheet when you're playing Everton at Old Trafford. The right tool for the right job. You try and put a photo frame up with a fucking saw, you look like an idiot. You need to split 2 bits of wood in half. A saw's the tool. Knight says, with the amount of gaps in the team and injuries and our best centre-half and the fact City had to win from 2 long shots and a De Gea mistake, not sure it was a mistake, he could have done better, I think. Ten Hag coached a perfect game without the players to do it. Jermaine says, people get a second chance in life. Greenwood is young and will learn. I'm not here entertaining any of this talk. We heard the tapes, and the absence of a charge is not the absence of guilt. You are innocent until proven guilty, but the burden of proof in the sort of cases like this is ridiculous. And it's unfortunate, you have so many cases like this that never come to trial because of all sorts of things. Broken bail conditions should tell you one thing. There was all sorts of fucking really heinous talk. You heard what you heard. I heard what I heard. I'm not buying that story. So I don't think Manchester United are buying that story either, and I think that's the reason why he hasn't played for us since. He will get a second chance because there are some clubs who will put talent over morals, without a shadow of a doubt. You've seen it in the Premier League with Liverpool. Suarez gets to racially abuse a fellow professional, and they bring T-shirts out in support of him. Clubs and people do make mistakes, and they do get second chances. But that doesn't mean that we have to be the ones that give it, in my opinion. Callum says season expectations out of 10 based on season rating out of 10 based on expectations. Personally, I think it's about 7. I think it's about 7 because 10 would have been like we won everything and we didn't. 9 would have been maybe picking up the FA Cup, or maybe even winning the league, or just the league. 8 maybe would have been just picking up the cup, I suppose, yesterday. So 7. I think 7 you can logically get it. CJ Hayes says, problem with Greenwood, he seems to be a generational talent. His value is immense before the madness. He's had is it almost 2 years out of the game, or it's at least a year and a half. So, you have no idea if he's going to come back the same level of player anyway. So imagine tarnishing the club for that. No. Who would I go buy with our current budget? Well, what's our current budget? Saves Mount says he's had a kid with that girl. And what? That don't make any of this right. Sanjay says, do I think we can get a false nine if we don't get a striker? If so, who do you think we can get? There's about 6 weeks of no football coming up, lads. So do not worry. All of those questions will be answered in tons of videos to come over the next 6 weeks. Do you think we're just going to be spinning around in our chairs, or do you think we're going to be looking at all of the targets? We're going to do 5 things we learned about all of our players, 5 things we learned about Ten Hag, 5 things we learned about our opposition, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. That's going to be a fun one. Look, we're going to do all of those, and then we're going to do shortlists for all the positions that we think we need. We're going to look at scout reports of the players that we've been linked to. We will give you the full breakdown over the next 6 weeks, but you got to give us the time to be able to do the research, because I'm not going to be someone that just sits here and starts talking when I've not done the research and the work to look into them. When watching some of the players that United are linked with, it takes a minute. So, give us the time and we'll get the content out, and hopefully it will be, well researched and well founded opinions rather than just hear a name and just give you a gut instinct. I'm not going to do that. Ben says, couldn't even be bothered with the basics of defending, closing your man down, stopping shots. Really need to play a cup final against. Not ready to play a cup final against them. Like, is shameful. Yeah, there was a few things. I'm trying to think about what I was talking about yesterday. It was such a long drive home. We was talking about something very specific, and I remember going, "This is basics of football." Oh, it was Lindelof's thing. Yeah, allowing the ball to bounce like that in your third. Basics of football. Don't let the ball bounce. Get your head on it and get it cleared. What is my opinion on all of Ten Hag's signings based on this season? Again, we could do that as a video. Ethan says Mason Mount's long passing numbers are actually statistically great. Could play a quarterback role with Bruno in the 10. I'm not sure if he's got the tenacity defensively to, and I know people will go, he does have good pressing numbers, but his being 10 yard, 15 yard further forward on the pitch and pressing from there is so much different to. It's not necessarily pressing that you'll do in a sixth position, but it's more of coverage in behind the fullbacks, screening across the back four, and that is a completely different skill set and physicality that's required to do that than it is by pressing in the number 10. Manu says, why do I think Eriksen was played yesterday? Made no sense. It made a lot of sense because he's got quality on the ball. In hindsight, and the way we was overrun, you might make a case for bringing in Scott McTominay in there. But they'd already brought Fred in and moved Bruno over to the right. We covered this quite extensively, why that would happen in the preview. And it was 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 11, the team that we selected in the preview to try and mitigate some of the things. City had so much time on the ball. It was really disappointing because you think United would hit them at different times, and it didn't really feel like that. And there was so many times that they just blasted us through the middle. It was so annoying. Save says, starting footy manager or FIFA, it's always a massive fun clean up the squad simulator. Hope we do that, but we need to hear about the sale being completed. Yeah, ultimately that's the thing we need to do right this second. Rizzo says, would I take Tammy Abraham? Probably would. Is he going to be your number one striker though? Because United probably should have someone better than that. If he was our second striker, I think you're absolutely killing it. But I think our superstar striker needs to be someone that's a genuine superstar striker. Scott says Greenwood is not innocent. He just wasn't prosecuted. We all know what he did. Yeah, I line up on that side more than the no charges, therefore nothing happened sort of way of thinking. And I think my take on it is that's what the club are thinking as well. Otherwise, he would have been involved. They may be bringing back in pre-season. They may be just sell him. I have no idea what the club are thinking. And I'm not even 100% sure that the club know themselves what they're doing. It's not something that they've ever had to come across before. Ildo says it was expected that City would control the game. Correct. Chesney said would love Sangar to back up Casemiro. I think you can have 4 or 5 first choice midfielders for your midfield three, because you can, sit in Anfield away. You might go with two more combative number sixes. Let's say we go Luton at home. You might go with a bit more. You might go Mount and Ericsson maybe. You can always do something. Andrew says, hopefully Zidane gets some minutes next season or on loan. Yep, I believe that was what was going to happen. And it didn't happen, so I don't know why. Wayne says, why has no one mentioned Onana at Inter? Played under Ten Hag at Ajax. He has been mentioned. As a sun-bleached half of my beard. No, I'm going grey. I'm old. It's one of them, innit? Mark Proc says, Greenwood, the law says innocent until proven guilty, and the law is the law. Okay. But it's not, is it? It isn't. Fardine says, in the derby at Old Trafford, we used Walker as a pressing trigger to get them back to their keeper at Wembley. That didn't happen at all. I was surprised. Mark says, Steve, De Zerbi and Caicedo are going to leave. De Zerbi said Caicedo is going to leave in the summer. Surely we have to go for him regardless of the Mount budget depending. I would go with him over Mount for the same price. If it was 60 million for Mount and Caicedo was an option and wanted to come at 60 million, I go Caicedo 10 out of 10 times. Not even close. Jermaine says, in fairness, our season was good, all things compared. So one more day of feeling down, but Monday we look at the fact that we're in the Champions League, we have a trophy and a great manager. Ultimately, that's it, yeah. And I wasn't too down necessarily about the result yesterday, because I kind of accepted it on like Monday when I started watching clips of them and I started like reading different analysis of them, and I was like, we're not winning this. Obviously, I was going to go off my head if we did, but I didn't think we were going to win it, so I was all right. James says, Caicedo's a United fan, if I remember correctly. If we're in for him, he'd choose us over Arsenal and Chelsea. Yeah, I'm not sure where he's been linked with. Juso says Benzema leaving Real will take Kane from us. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Daniel Levy, for sure, if he's not thought of this already, is definitely going to start the rumours of Kane to Madrid if United are genuinely in for him. Because if you've got two options on the table and your options are keep him and he goes for free next year, or try and sell him this summer and get the maximum amount of price that you can for him, but the only things that you've got to play are, well, I don't want to sell him, United are going to screw you. Whereas if you go, well, Real Madrid are in for him and they're going to pay me 80 million. You're going to pay me 85? Then you've got a conversation to have, haven't you? Rizzo says, is Kane the right pick if we're thinking long term? If you're thinking long term, no, you sign a lot of 6-year-olds and you hope for the best. But realistically, there is no such thing as long term. A manager has to earn the right to do long term. Pep could do it now. 7 years deep. Well, apart from the fact he's got all the riches in the world and potentially other things going on as well. Pep could do it because he's won things. Fergie could do it after a while because he'd won things. Eric Ten Hag at the moment has won a Carabao Cup. No Manchester United fan, or do you know what, some will, right? Some will, some have got a brain. But the board are not going to allow him to say, sign a team of 18-year-olds, like a team full of like Evan Fergusons and Garnachos, and then give it the 6-7 years it needs to mature. Football's changed, sadly, and there has to be a deliverance of trophies. And I think teams are missing out on real good managers because of their desire to just change. Look at Chelsea. They start the season with Tommy Tuchel. Tommy Tuchel ends up winning the league at Bayern while they rotate through 2 more managers and finish in the bottom half of the table. There's not enough patience. So while, yes, it would be a nice idea to say, let's just focus on fuck Kane, focus on Evan Ferguson, and work up to where he could be the best striker in the world, potentially. 1, you don't know if the potential is going to get realised. And 2, there's not the patience to see a team mature like that. So Harry Kane isn't 50. He's probably peaked And he's either going to maintain this for another year or two and then start to decline, or he's already going to start to decline. But he's still an extremely effective goal scorer, and the sort of goal scorer that could deliver Manchester United the league if you fix one or two other things in the squad. He's got to go and win things right now, and then he can start to reshape and retool the squad and lower that age until it gets to the point where it's a sustainable thing like Sir Alex did. But it takes a long time for you to do that. Almac says Kane would be washed in 3 years. Yeah, but you might get 1 or 2 league titles out of him if you do that. Brian says, thoughts on giving Garnacho the number 7 next season? Is it too soon? Yeah, I think our number 7. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Where's Benzema going? So the talk is that Benzema's going to go to Saudi Arabia and be paid an eye-watering amount of cash. And I can see that. I can see every part of that. Anyway, that's it for 5 things today. Cheers to everyone for all the support across the whole season. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Love the comments. Don't get to reply to all of them, but I do try and read as many as I can. So thank you for that. And as I said earlier in the show, we have got 5 things about every club, scout reports, shortlists. We'll do live reactions to any news as well. And I am going on the tour to America, so you're going to have 6 weeks of probably trying to shape up and give our opinions on who we think United should sign, what the score is with the ownership. All that needs resolving. We get our asses out on the tour. We'll be covering some games, doing some vlogs, meeting some of you guys out there in America if you're over there for the fan meetups and the matches and that sort of stuff. And then before you know it, you're going to blink and the season will have started again. Absolute chaos. Never ends. But cheers for the support. Take it easy. Subscribe if you're new around here because, we don't fucking stop. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.